Honestly, Isabel's surgery, I realized how independent I actually could be.
Hard the idea of selling this place. I don't want to sell it. It's not fair to Mary and Janelle, and that's not my intention, is to be unfair. My intention is just to not deal with it.
The nanny never had coronavirus. Hear me out. I honestly think Robyn is twisted enough to completely make up the whole thing. She was probably panicking that the family was about to start actually spending time together again, and boom, suddenly there's this convenient excuse to hit the pause button on family reunions. Enter the nanny with coronavirus, which was Robyn's ticket to keep Kody isolated and, let's be real, still under her control. But seriously, where's the proof that the nanny actually had coronavirus? All we have is Robyn and Kody's word, which isn't exactly the most trustworthy source of information. I wouldn't be shocked if Robyn was the one who had coronavirus and quietly passed it around. It's not like anyone knew who the nanny was, so it's easy to pin it on her, right? Let's break it down. The family didn't get coronavirus when the nanny supposedly had it. That came later. Robyn's family, except Aurora, got it from Brianna after she went back to school. Janelle's crew got it from Garrison, who got it from work. Christine, as far as we know from the show, didn't catch it at all. And honestly, I wouldn't put it past Robyn to fake the whole coronavirus thing. It's the perfect excuse to keep the family apart, especially when it gives her more time to control Kody's narrative. But if that was really the case, I can't imagine why she'd claim the nanny had it instead of saying she was sick. Maybe she figured the nanny wouldn't speak up. If someone lied and said I had coronavirus when I didn't, there's no way I'd go along with it, unless, of course, I really cared about the person asking me to. But even then, I'd need a pretty good reason. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. Ari and Sol. Oh, I actually feel the worst for them out of all the kids. It's like everyone in their lives is just completely checked out. Their dad? Detached. Their mom? Same. All their half-siblings, including Davy, of course. Former sister wives or moms. Basically ghosts. Honestly, Ari and Sol are getting the short end of the stick. Just doom, gloom, constant complaining, and a whole lot of apathy. You can practically feel the stagnation in the air. I really hope that K and R have found someone warm and loving to step in and disrupt this miserable cycle with some actual care. Please tell me that's what the nanny is doing. Is that what she's there for? Fingers crossed. Now, I'm not saying the other kids haven't had their own share of trauma. It's just that right now, I can't help but feel especially bad for these two. The other kids seem to have, or at least had, looking at you, DAB, some sort of parental figures who genuinely love them. Speaking of Davy, it's always crossed my mind whether their fear stems from knowing that their mom and dad had the power to completely erase their bio dad from the picture without a second thought. That's gotta mess with your head as an adult, right? Could explain their over-the-top emotional reactions to needing K and R's approval. Also, I can't help but think how alienated DAB has been from the OG kids. They'll probably never have that close-knit sibling bond the OGs share, which is just heartbreaking. They're half-siblings, for crying out loud. There's no reason they shouldn't have a relationship with each other. If DAB feels excluded, that's on them, but Sol and Ari shouldn't be punished because of it. Uncle Daddy Paul. The show's turned into a cash machine off the backs of every single in-law we've ever lost. Curtis, Wynn, Bonnie, Cheryl, you name it, they've milked it. But the one time Crybros actually has a reason to shed some real tears on camera. They give him a whole 5 minutes for Uncle Daddy Paul. I mean, come on, Robyn Sobbin Robot should really follow her own advice and do it on camera. They spent more time pretending to fix that picnic table than they did actually mourning Uncle Daddy Paul. And let's give a special shout out to the grilling brush they brought out for the table prep. Really nailed it. Watching the footage, Robyn barely did anything. My bet? They scraped it a little for show, then paid someone else to do the actual painting. Now, about that picnic table. Apparently, it's such a treasured piece, right? So why was it falling apart after maybe, 8 years? If it was as well built as they say, shouldn't it have had some kind of protective finish to survive a little weathering? Seems like it didn't hold up too well. Robyn, let's talk about that little gem where she outright says she doesn't want her kids to even know that not getting married and having children is an option. Like, it's one thing to think that, because sure, she's deep into a radical religious cult, but hearing her say it aloud, that's on a whole other level of wild. She's essentially saying, yeah, my kids can't even consider any life choices that don't involve marriage and babies. As if keeping them in the dark about other options is somehow going to protect them from the scary, dangerous truth of choice. For context, this all went down during the episode with the anthropologists Richard and Antoinette, who were discussing how society is changing. Richard casually mentions that people are delaying or choosing not to have kids or get married at all, just a reflection of the times we live in. Nothing too shocking there, right? But Robyn, in classic form, decides that her kids should be shielded from this modern concept of personal choice, as if hearing about it would somehow warp their fragile minds. The best part? The kids weren't even there to hear any of this. The anthropologists didn't say a word about talking to the kids. But Robyn, with her usual paranoia, was like, nope, we can't have that conversation. It's like she's afraid that even the mention of non-traditional life paths might somehow lead her children to question their entire existence. Because, of course, if they knew there were other options, they might start, thinking for themselves. And this explains so much about why Robyn's adult daughters always look like lost puppies, doesn't it? I mean, the emotional and mental abuse is so clear, it's just not the kind that leaves bruises. Years of being told they don't get to have an opinion, let alone make their own life choices. That takes a toll. And don't even get me started on that whole how many kids conversation. Since when is it the parents' job to dictate how many kids their grown children should have? It's a private decision between the person and their partner, not a family board meeting. But Robyn and her crew decided to ask one of her daughters, who probably didn't even want to answer, how many kids she'd want. The daughter, probably trying not to set off a storm, mutters, "I don't want more than 4. It was clearly a statement made in hopes of appeasing her mom, not a real opinion. You could almost hear the pause of disapproval that followed. The second she says something less than what Robyn would like to hear, there's going to be that awkward silence before the verbal guilt trip begins. It's all about controlling the narrative and pretending there's only one right path, marriage and kids. Choice, not on Robyn's watch. It's all just a bit much, don't you think? Christine's relationship with David is a whole mood, and not a good one. Honestly, she's giving me secondhand embarrassment. I'm thrilled that she's happy, don't get me wrong, but the way she talks about him, and honestly for him, is so cringy it's hard to watch. I'm literally fast-forwarding through it. Am I the only one who feels this way? I mean, let's be real. She's clearly emotionally stunted. She's in her 50s, and this is her first taste of real love. No wonder she's acting like she's in high school again. Most of us got our first love experience as teenagers, but can you imagine hitting that milestone at 50? Honestly though, I guess there's no manual for how you're supposed to act when you're in love. So maybe we just let her do her thing. But let's not forget, Christine's led a pretty sheltered life, so it's no surprise that this love stuff is new to her. I'm genuinely happy for her. She deserves some joy, especially after everything she's been through. I try to cut her some slack because of her rocky relationship with Kody. She's been through so much, raising all those kids and trying her best. If anyone deserves a little happiness, it's her. But that lap dance at the wedding? I honestly gagged a little. I have to say though, I was way more embarrassed by how she let Kody walk all over her. Every time she'd back down and let him steamroll her, I'd be sitting there yelling, "Don't do it, Christine. Not again." I get that her kids must be uncomfortable with all this public affection. They've never seen it before. But honestly, Christine deserves this. She's been through so much, and she's finally getting the attention and love she's craved. It's probably a little overwhelming for her, but I think it's sweet. They'll find their groove, and for now, it's just nice to see her so happy and excited. We've definitely touched on Robyn's. I don't know what's going on with the finances act before. She's always playing the part of the clueless wife, claiming, "Oh, Kody handles all of that," like she's totally out of the loop. But then, in the last episode, Kody casually asks her if they have enough money to buy Coyote Pass. Wait, hold on. Since when does she suddenly know about the finances? Is she just emerging from her "I don't care about the money" bubble? Or is this her latest performance to show that, in reality, she's been totally in charge of it all along? Let's not forget how Janelle roasted Robyn in an earlier season by calling her a teetotaler, to which Robyn had no clue what that even meant. When Janelle explained it as someone who doesn't drink, Robyn just nodded along. Fast forward to a scene where Robyn tries to brush off any control over their finances, saying she only sends info to the accountant, and Janelle's comeback was pure gold. She had to drink an entire bottle of wine to make sense of the finances. So yeah, not exactly the teetotaler we're dealing with here, Robyn. Back to the Coyote Pass debacle. Kody's little line, "You don't think we have the money for this, do you?" To which Robyn responds, "We do, but we can't afford other things we need," feels like a classic Robyn move. She loves using reverse psychology on Kody. He thinks he's come up with the brilliant solution, and she gets to swoop in with the praise, all while subtly steering the conversation her way. It's like a dance. Kody needs Robyn to admit that they should sell the land she's obsessed with, all because she's still clinging to this dream. But the minute she caves, he's going to push for something else, and then she has to flip his own reasoning back at him. It's a constant back and forth where she avoids saying, "No, we can't afford it," because if she does, Kody would just argue the opposite and push harder. So instead, she plays it safe. "Sure, we can afford it, but then, we're screwed on everything else we actually need." Genius move, really. Watching the latest episodes of Sister Wives has truly been a roller coaster of emotions. And let me tell you, I am absolutely thrilled for Janelle and Madison. They're living the dream, making their farm vision a reality. So inspiring. Then there's Christine and David, who are flawlessly blending their families while buying a second home like it's nothing. Truly is coming into her own. Isabel is growing into this beautiful, loving, kind soul, and David, the guy has done wonders. He's the miracle worker of the family, healing kids who felt completely rejected and unloved. His full-time presence? Apparently, it's the secret sauce to emotional growth. And then there's Kody and Robyn. Watching them cripple their kids emotionally is honestly impressive. It's almost like they found a way to keep their kids forever stuck in a perpetual state of childhood, making them seem about 10 years younger than they actually are. It's amazing, amazing in the worst way. Meanwhile, everyone else is thriving without Kody, growing into their best selves, and those who are with him, they're practically suffocating under his and Robyn's overbearing control. Christine has always been the family's heart, no question. She was the one orchestrating family nights, making sure everyone was together, sacrificing her own time for the sake of the family. And now, she's found the perfect partner in David. It's refreshing to see someone who actually welcomes her kids and, shockingly, even the others too. Meanwhile, the original three, Christine, Janelle, and Madison, are all thriving with their new families, while Kody and Robyn look like they've just been caught in an endless, joyless loop. And speaking of Robyn's kids, I can't help but feel sorry for them. They're missing out on meaningful relationships with their siblings because Robyn can't let go of the reins for even a second. Gabe, Garrison, Isabel. They've all spoken about how much they miss Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna, but Robyn, she has to brainwash them into believing the others hate them. She can't even let them go to family events like weddings or baby showers, because God forbid someone might actually like them, and Robyn's whole narrative would unravel. Honestly, Robyn has to be one of the most vile people I've ever seen. It's honestly baffling how deep her control runs. So, let's break down Kody's brilliant theory on why he's obsessed with that delightful swamp of a property, the Prairie Dog Plague Pond. Does he think that owning it is some kind of investment, like it's a prime real estate deal just waiting to skyrocket? Maybe he thinks because it's the drainage for all the other properties. If he holds onto it, any developer who wants to build next door will have to cough up some cash for access to the pond. That way, he gets to be the gatekeeper of proper drainage or whatever. But seriously, why else would he want that mess? Let's be real, Kody doesn't give a single thought to water drainage or retention. No, in his mind, that's a recreational pond, probably with paddle boats and a snack shack. He has no clue why it's dry right now. Here's the thing, where I live, no one in their right mind would want a retention pond. You can't build anything on it, unless you're into sinking money into some underground cistern. Oh, and if you dare to ride over it, don't even think about breaking down the walls. Maintenance is all on you. And God forbid you try to change anything without county approval. It's not some cute little water feature, it's the stormwater management system that handles runoff for the entire neighborhood. When houses go up and the ground gets paved over, you reduce the permeable land and hello flooding. But I guess Kody's got a master plan. Thanks to some insider information from Robyn's dad, he thinks he's going to make a fortune off this thing. I'm sure he's got some genius, yet totally misguided, motive for hanging onto Prairie Dust Pond. But yeah, that's just Kody for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.